Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh. What's up, fam? Matthew Sewell, your real estate plug, and we are back with another episode of. This is actually the first episode of its kind on this channel. So I'm thinking we call it Plug Talk because in today's show, we're going to talk about a property that I saw on Architectural Digest. This is actually a reaction video, and I've been wanting to cover this for a minute, put all the tools together. Now it makes sense. So I'm going to be talking about this property that I saw and give you the ins and outs of it, everything that I could come up with on it, and give you some insight. So with all of that being said, let's jump right into it. But before, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you have any questions on anything I've said or haven't said at any time in this video, do not hesitate to let me know. All right, let's go. All right, so I'm going to start this over right here. Boom. Japanese beats, Japanese
I'd like
lo-fi.
to welcome you to Quail Hill, located at 21 Canyon Road, Ross,
This
California.
spot is absolutely fire.
I'm Neil Ward with Compass Real Estate. This property is made up of 20 acres, high up on the ridge.
That's a huge lot.
Secluded and private. It would be almost impossible to acquire anything close to this. The home itself is made up of 11,500 square feet. It's a hybrid of Japanese and
Okay, real quick. I know you see that price tag right there. They had listed this at 29 mil. And spoiler alert, that's not what it sold for. This show didn't tell us what it sold for. I did some research. And I guess now's a good time to say that it sold at 14 mil. Yep, it was listed at 29 mil, sold sometime later at 14. Big price cut, or what realtors like to say, price improvement. Huge. So, yep.
contemporary architecture, 6 bedrooms, each with their own baths, formal dining room, formal living room, grand music room. The main entrance gallery is 150 feet long. All of the rooms look out and are surrounded by beautiful Japanese gardens. The home is currently on the market for $29 million. I'm standing here with Mark Pomeroy, who is the son of Mr. and Mrs. Pomeroy, who built this wonderful property.
So the story of this property is quite interesting. My father acquired...
All right, I got to know, and I'm going to have a bunch of questions and input here. But this house is a mid-century Japanese garden-inspired home. Is anybody Japanese? Or they're just like, you know what, we love the zen of this home style. Let's spend a bunch of money and build it here in Marin County. I don't know. He don't look incredibly Japanese. It's possible he is. Maybe his dad is. Maybe his mom is. Maybe they both are, and I'm way off. Maybe he's adopted. I don't know, but he definitely looks like an interesting guy. I would love to have a conversation with him.
Acquired it in 1969. It was 21 acres, and he had the desire to build a Japanese home, which was rather unusual 50 years ago. And he had a vision of a large space that could be used for family entertaining with multiple gardens. And it was very important to bring the exterior interior. Broke ground September 6, 1969, and completed October 9th, 1970. So it was a very quick build.
Yeah, that's like 13 months. That's a crazy build time. And here in the Bay Area sounds unheard of. But if you look at this picture, you see Perkins, the moving company. They've been doing work for a while. That's interesting.
Considering the amount of earth that was moved and the concrete that was poured, it was 1,700 cubic yards of concrete in the foundation.
Crazy.
So it's not going to go anywhere. was important for the architect to have a contemporary chandelier in the space. So what we did to get the correct scale, my father and I actually bought chicken wire and actually made a mock-up scale to see what worked right. I think we did 3 versions, and this seemed to be the one that worked the most. Obviously, with the slate floor and a lot of the glass in the home, it was important to have a softening to this wall with its length and width. And so my mother was very interested in visiting the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, and a lot of the rooms were upholstered walls. So she actually brought out a team that had upholstered walls in some of the galleries, and they found this sort of chamois color velvet. And if
you don't know about chamois, that's that color. That is that color. And to have a team, money was, I need to know who these people are, because in the early 70s, late 60s, to spend however much they did on this took some resource and some know-how. Means they probably had a bunch of money. So I'm curious. Maybe we do a little research after this and see who these people were or are. I imagine that some of them are still alive. Obviously the son is. Pomeroy.
If you notice the detailing, the welting work, I think it took almost 3.5 weeks to upholster these walls. Jeez. And they're all padded. They're very soft padding behind. And the thing that's remarkable, when you think this house is 52 years old and these walls are pristine, impeccable, have really not changed. There's a slight fading where paintings have been hung.
Yeah, was this their only house?
All the coverings in the house are original. They've never been touched.
We're now standing in the main living room to the house, and as you can see, it has beautiful 13-foot high ceilings, wonderful scale, wonderful volume.
Look at those windows.
And then looking out to
the windows got windows on top of them.
The most serene, beautiful landscape imaginable.
The windows got windows.
You will notice in the dining room, the living room, and the music room, the next room, is that they're clerestory windows. I call it a double roof system. And it was important for the architect to bring additional light in. They're also very deep eaves that go out, which keep the house very cool in the summertime. The scale is unusual for the era. In 1970, homes were really not quite this large, and with both the scale, and it was something very...
He said that he and his father designed the chandelier with, I think he said, chicken wire. So I'm curious as to who drew this up. Like, how was this built? Who was the architect? I got questions.
Very important to my parents. They wanted space. And this room will always be very special to me, because this is where we'd have our Christmas tree that went up to the ceiling. And in the 1940s, my father was in Belgium, and he bought glass ornaments that are the size of basketballs, and we had them hung in the tree, and we still have them, and it's a wonderful tradition. If you look at the railings here, my grandfather came to San Francisco in 1933 for a large contract to build the Golden Gate Bridge. So in homage to the bridge, my father decided to paint the railings international orange, which is the color of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Dining room.
Here we are in the formal dining room of the house. We just came across from the living room. And there has to be some wonderful stories that happened in here.
The dining room was designed to take advantage of this lovely courtyard garden. And the room across from here was my father's library, and there's shoji screens.
So much light that comes in.
Closed in the evening, and then the room backlit. So when you're sitting in here, you really had a very sense of being in a temple setting in Japan. One thing, there was interesting sourcing when the house was being built. There was a wonderful craftsman in San Francisco by the name of Dirk van Erp. He was a wonderful metal worker. These escutcheons,
I'm going to pause that. This is disregard. Dirk van Erp, artisan. Interesting. Oh, he died. Dirk van Erp. San Francisco, was active in Oakland and San Francisco. Dutch-American artisan, coppersmith, metalsmith, known for lamps in copper with mica shades. Interesting. 1908, he opened the art copper shop in Oakland. 1909, he exhibited more than 24 pieces at the Alaska Yukon Pacific Exposition, a World's Fair held in Seattle, Washington. His shop won a gold medal. That's cool. Is his shop still around? Kenneth Trapp, curator for decorative arts at the Oakland Museum in California, summarized Van Earp's legacy as follows. Although most famous for his lamps, many of which are commanding in size and stunning in design, Van Earp produced other pieces such as exceptional beauty and strength as to stand unrivaled in American metalwork. Interesting. Trapp concluded, Dirk Van Earp is widely considered the most important metalsmith of the arts and crafts movement. Wow. Interesting. Okay, here we go. June 2002, a copper and mica lamp designed by Darcy Gaw and made by Dirk Van Earp was sold for $180,000 at Craftsman Auctions in Lambertville, New Jersey. A Van Earp copper vase sold for $36,000 at the same auction. Wow. Okay, well, I'm glad we looked that up. That's cool. I wonder if he's got any pieces in the Oakland Museum still. Okay, cool.
Design, which are a copy of the Imperial Chrysanthemum. And these were pulls, some of the closets. And my parents were very important for them to have storage everywhere. They wanted ease of access. All the silver, all the crystal, all the tableware, all the table linens were all here. The thing that's quite amazing, once again, is
shelves.
52 years later, not a spot on any of this. It's just really quite extraordinary.
Central courtyard.
Adjacent to the formal dining room.
Yeah. It feels like they thought everything out, so much so, like, save the glass. This definitely feels like something that you would see in an old kung fu flick or something, you know? Yeah, like kung fu, yeah, China, but, you know, just the old Japanese joints, samurai movies. This feels like nostalgic in a sense. So I like it. I really like it, actually.
In the central courtyard.
This is a very special garden, once again, because
Like some modern Afro samurai stuff.
we have the dining room vistas, we have the music room vistas, we have the library vistas, all centered on this space. This garden was designed by Nagao Sakurai, who was the first graduate from the University of Tokyo in landscape architecture. And for 20 years, he was chief custodian of the Imperial Gardens at the palace in Tokyo. So he came here and actually designed this garden.
There you have it.
I think he spent about 3 or 4 days just contemplating the spaces. And he would recite haiku of what he envisioned and what the spirits were telling him about the garden. And the thing that I love about this garden, which you'll see as you move through the courtyards, is that these gardens have a 4-season cycle.
Yeah, it looks
Our
like
family were always grillers and barbecuers,
like
so
fall.
barbecue is a very key element. But barbecues are not usually that attractive. So the architect said, well, why don't we build some type of very traditional Japanese structure over the barbecue? He came up with this design, which is a copy of a Shinto shrine. There are metal grates inside, hydraulic lifts that go up and down to lower the fire. There were gas jets to light the charcoal. We took barbecuing to the edge of the limit. Was a great entertaining spot. We'd have cocktails out here. These poles were actually telephone poles. They couldn't find anything substantial enough for the posting, and they were taken to a lathe in Berkeley and shaped to this size. And then you notice that they all have copper ankle bracelets to prevent water damage.
That's cool.
This actually was re-roofed probably 7 years ago. Wonderful Japanese artisan that did this by himself.
Wow.
He took all the old shingles off. He took the cross members off himself. All the nailings are copper nails.
One man.
Very traditional. This was approaching.
One
this is
job.
a traditional Shinto shrine, and we will treat it as such.
I love that. What kind of music are they listening to in this music room? I know they're not in there slapping. I imagine, you know, maybe some light karaoke. Maybe some singing, some piano playing of some sort.
This was originally the music room. My father played the organ, and he had a very, very large organ here.
There you have
All
it.
the walls are upholstered in white linen and original
That's
linen.
tight.
Linen allowed the sound to come out
Look
and
at
to
that
give it a very
fireplace, the
melodious, sort of
marble.
soft tone to the organ music. I think an interesting note to this is if you look at the exterior of the house, it's white plaster and dark stain. We've brought that into this room with the white linen walls and the dark staining. So we've really brought the outside in, and I think it's a wonderful juxtaposition. And this was sort of
That's a good
the
word.
family gathering room. It was always my favorite room in the house. When the house was
That'd be
being
my favorite
designed,
room.
my parents did not like forced air heating. They didn't like the sound of air whooshing through spaces. So they instructed the architect to design the home with radiant heat. And radiant heat is oftentimes found only in floors. But the mechanical engineer said the actual home should have radiant heat in the ceilings because the sun, what does it do? It radiates down on you. It doesn't radiate up. So all of the ceilings have serpentine of copper piping throughout all the ceilings to radiate the heat down. In the main slate hallway and in all the bathrooms, they put the radiant heat in the floors as well, so it would warm up in cold mornings, and it's the cleanest heat possible.
Love that. I'd also be spending some time in this library.
After leaving the music room, walking down the hall, we're
Look at
now
those sliding
entering
doors.
the study library.
This was my
lot of
father's
light.
study, and he would read if they had his books here. It was built-in television and stereo, so he was very comfortable here, especially on Sunday afternoons watching football. This has a unique ceiling. It's a pitch ceiling. It's the only pitch ceiling in the house. All the paneling is very fine-grained oak. There's a guest room that's situated behind this room, so this could actually be a living area for the guest room as well. So it's very well thought
That's
out.
cool.
Once again, to bring the Asian element, these are obviously shoji screens.
Shoji
They do open all
screens.
out and close the room completely off.
Wow.
The surround is slate, once again, tying in the slate in the hallways and the exterior. Very sober mantelpiece. This was my father's favorite room.
I could see that. I could see that. That room looks really cool. And with there being a guest bedroom at the end, you know, it could almost be its own, you know, living space, it looks like.
So
I can
this
dig it.
is the epicenter of the house. Who would not want a bar in the 60s? This bar has so much activity, great fun spots, center of the house, wonderful cocktails are made here, and once again, the original wallpaper. The bar would have many more glasses and a lot more alcohol, but it's still a fun place to be.
Primary suite. And if you didn't know this, the industry has changed the name of master bedroom and master suite to primary for maybe obvious reasons, but if it's not so obvious, I think the word racism might mean something, or historical feelings about master bedrooms and the master and other dynamics. I think I should look at, you wanna, all right, we're gonna do it. I wasn't gonna do it. Master bedroom name change. Master bedroom name change 2020. Is that what happened? Here we go. In 2020, the term master bedroom began to be widely replaced with primary bedroom as a more inclusive and less potentially offensive option, with many real estate agents and industry professionals adopting this change due to concerns about the historical connotations of the word master relating to slavery. I read it. That's what it said. There you have it. 2020.
Now we're walking into the primary suite, and as with the rest of the home, every aspect of this property was incredibly well thought out. We're now back to the back of the home where it's quiet,
Look at
private.
that view.
You feel like you're in a forest here with views up to Mount
It looks like a forest
down
for sure.
to the city of San Francisco.
So this was my parents' bedroom, and the design was they wanted it to be a treehouse. And actually, this floor plan juts out, and it's
These
built on
windows.
very high pilings. So they really were in the trees, which
don't like
was
that
very
word,
important.
jet.
This was very tranquil with the private entry hall, that this was their domain, away from the children's rooms. Lovely walk-in closet for my mother, and lots of built-ins. My mother, in her later years, would spend most of her day in this room and just loved the light and the views to the mountains.
I'm just looking at that roof. I'm like, yo, how much would it cost to replace this roof? And how long is this when was the roof replaced last? Because if it was built in the 70s and it just looks like some type of, does it look like tile? It doesn't look, it looks like composition shingle, but I don't know.
On the other side of the house, separate and private,
The top of it makes it look like it might be some type of tile, but
are the 4 guest bedrooms.
I can't really tell.
Each of the guest bedrooms has
either way, how much does it cost to replace that thing?
its own walk-in closet and own bath.
That's crazy.
I have identical twin sisters.
But also, if you're about to spend 29 or 14 mil on a property like this, how important is it the cost of the roof replacement, which will likely last you 30 plus years, depending on the kind of roof?
And my parents built identical rooms for them where they shared a Jack and Jill bathroom. It speaks so much to the symmetry of the home. The home was built on function. Everything is located where it should be. There's no unnecessary movement. Everything is where it should be when it should be. As you can see, all these rooms have either courtyard garden views or mountain views, and also borrowed space. I'm borrowing this space from that room, and I'm borrowing this space from that room. That was very key to the whole design of this house. Coming back down the hallway, now we're going to go into my room, which I think is the best one. Original draperies
probably.
from 1970. The colors are pretty wild, but that was back in the 70s. My dressing room, you'll notice the walls are blue and white stripe.
That's cool.
Once again, 1970 originals.
Of course he
Still
thinks his
look
room is the
as white
best
as it
room.
was the day they were put up.
All of the guest bedrooms have doors that open up to the outside and look from one room into the next.
It's very open but very private, which is, I think, quite.
This seems like the perfect retreat space, perfect entertainment space, actually. I would have a blast here. Yeah, geez, 20 acres? Yeah, I'm doing all types of retreats here, hosting events, mixers, festivities, all types of stuff here. There's so much room for activities. I think I said that already. It's fine.
Unique.
Let's move on down the hallway to the wonderful symmetry to both of
space
these
is
gardens.
crazy.
So these two gardens are quite interesting. So this is a dry riverbed, and as it passes under this glass bridge, it is suddenly transformed into actual running water, and it cascades over these rocks and then down into 2 ponds below this exterior bridge. So it was a wonderful sort of transition from the public to the private, and this glass bridge really allows you to take in so many wonderful vistas. Sound and light is an important element of this house.
Vistas.
From every area you hear sounds, whether it be a mourning dove up in the eaves giving a call in the late afternoon, or the sound of water. This door, when my parents lived here, was open all year long.
Yep.
It's something that I
I'd
will
have
have
it
in my
open.
head forever. It's something very deep, and it ties into the whole Japanese mentality of resourcing water and life and the cycle of life. So let's go outside. All of these oaks have been trimmed. We have an arborist that comes yearly. We also have a French arborist
That
who
looks like
trims all
tile.
the maples and the pine trees. The Smithsonian had all the gardens photographed, and they actually are in their archives. It's very rare to have Japanese gardens today, because of the maintenance and also the design. They felt it was very important to record that for posterity, because so many gardens, unless they're public gardens, are
We're
no
gonna check the
longer
listing in a second,
accessible
'cause
or
we gotta
even
know.
Japanese gardens
I gotta
anymore.
know.
It was an honor, and I think the garden represents so much of the Japanese design taste, and really a recognition of Sakurai, who is a masterful landscape architect.
Yeah, they got that wraparound deck. That's tight.
You'll notice the rafters, the detailing here. All this is original, it's never been restained. And I think something I like especially is the shadowing in this house. With all of the lines, you get tremendous shadowing and detailing and display on the bottoms of the walls. It's quite special.
I don't think any of that was by accident. Like, I think this was all intentional. And if that's the case, if it is intentional, this architect went crazy. I want to see what other stuff he's done.
Against the home itself, there are copper downspouts, but the architect didn't want some massive piece of metal here. So the idea of just the chain, so the water will roll around the chain link into the pond. So it's an interesting artistic statement, but it also serves a wonderful purpose at the same time. So this was sort of the walkway from my parents' bedroom out to the pool. When we would have large parties, these windows would all open and people would flow out onto the terraces. And we also can drop down into this garden from here, some stepping stones to the basin there.
That pool looks warm.
As we leave the terrace, coming out to the pool area, the views, Mark, oh my goodness, everywhere. This is a very, very special place.
This was the first black bottom pool that was put in, and originally they said, oh, it should be aqua colored. My father said, no, we want it to be more like a pond or somewhere that's dark, and it ties in with the roof of the darkness. My father wanted to sort of acknowledge the name of the property or the siting that it was Quail Hill. So a wonderful calligrapher came up, and this is magnificent calligraphy. The symbol on the right means quail, and the symbol on the left means hill or mountain.
Calligraphy.
And then on the left is a signature.
Bobby, what do you think about it?
One thing you may have noticed as we walk through the property or the home is minimal steps. When the home was designed, my mother was not initially 100% on board moving into a new home and leaving the home she loved so much. And she said, all right, Bob, there's one thing you have to agree to, no steps. So from the garage to my mother's bedroom, there's not one step.
That's crazy.
It just keeps that super zen feeling that there's no interruption. It's organic, but it's very, very designed. So it's interesting that you can be organic and super designed at the same time.
Yeah,
so I think that's a very key element to this house.
Here we are at the front entrance to the home, and adjacent this beautiful sculpture, Mark.
This is a kasuga. In Japanese temples. It would be lit with a candle here. I think it's a very strong statement. My father wanted this statement at the front of the house to really give the sense that, yes, this is Japan, this is authentic Japan. Welcome to our home. I think one of the key elements, too, with this lovely white stucco wall, are these sculpted pine trees.
Yep.
All the trees were sourced from around California. The motif here
Those look
are
like
clouds.
the little
You can
bonsai
sense
joints
the idea of the clouds
from the
with
Karate
shapes
Kid.
here.
One of the many extraordinary features of the home, Mark, is this just magical special garden here that sets the tone as you come into the property.
It's very true, Neil. I think the thing that's interesting to it, it's when you compare this garden to the other courtyard gardens, this is the largest garden. And it's a garden that has wonderful change of season in it. You're going to this garden, you know, the door may be open towards the pool and you're looking out to the vistas. It's very serene.
Vistas.
You almost feel that you are crossing a bridge and a bridge into a new world. And when the doors are wide open, it's just a very inviting space.
Mark, it's incredible to believe that we are minutes from the city, but yet when you're here, it's so
it feels like a world of its own.
Private. We're up on this magical ridge, looking out to vistas that are just extraordinarily special.
Vistas.
My father had the idea of building a Japanese home, as I perhaps mentioned. So he found this fantastic architect, Mitsuru Tada, who has remained very close to us and still comes out to see the property. And my father said, well, I would like a living room, a music room, 6 bedrooms, a guest room, and a study. So Mitsuru goes to his office and creates this watercolor. So if you actually look at this, and we're in the house, very similar. We have our garages here, we have our front entry hall here, we have the living room where we are now. This is the music room. We have the library and the guest room here.
I keep saying
and
it.
We have the private family wing here. So quite extraordinary that very little deviation from this original schematic. And there was no floor plan yet. He just did this on the top of his head. That this is basically the house today.
Mark, thank you so much for sharing such special moments throughout the building of the house, your family, everything that's gone into this. Thank you so much.
Well, Neil, you're welcome. It was my pleasure to come. The home has meant a great deal to me for 50 years, and I love sharing stories about it because it has such a rich personality and so much character to it. And as I keep saying, integrity. So it was my pleasure, and I hope that the audience will enjoy a glimpse into Japan in California.
Yeah, this house is amazing. I want to know how much it cost them to build this and how much it would cost to replace that
Thank you so
roof.
much for joining us on the tour of Quail Hill, located at 21 Canyon Road, just minutes from San Francisco, right across the Golden Gate Bridge. Quail Hill represents such a unique opportunity to own something of such scale and grandeur that would almost never be available again on the market for $29 million. I'm Neil Ward with Compass Real Estate, San Francisco. Thank you so much.
Good job, Neil. Good job on the listing. 29 mil. And I'm rocking with Architectural Digest. Not subscribed to it on my personal channel. I am on my real estate channel, so there's that. All right, let's, what was the address? I just had it up too. I just had it up. Oh, here, I can go to my last searched. There's my history at. This is, hey, wait a second. All right. It's 21, it's 21 something. Quail Hill, 21 Canyon Road, there we go. Oh, that was my other search. Sold. Canyon. Let's get rid of that. And it's in Ross. Search. Ross. Do you love it? Oh, there's 2 listings. Oh. Whoa. Very interesting. And a big size difference too. Okay. This one sold in 2013. This other one sold in 2014. That's not what we're looking for. Canyon sold. Oh, that's why. Those parameters. Oh, let's see what else is sold on Canyon. 14 mil. There's ours. All these other ones sold 2 houses, 1 lot. Same zip code. The highest priced sale was at 9. How many acres did this one have? Ooh, look at this. 8,000 square feet, built in 2006. Sold for 9. 21 days on the market in 2015. This is tight. This is tight. Okay, let's go back. 21. We want to see 21. Hold on real quick. So if you look, you can see these days on market. These mean things, right? So the real question is, why did it take so long to sell? And what did it sell for? Well, we see the number here, 14 mil. It was listed at 29. Then they, after some period of time, I don't know how long, they dropped the price, or what we real estate agents would say, realtors would say, price improvement, which who's it improved for? Definitely the buyer. But this is why it's so important to properly price properties. Geez, say that times fast. Properly price properties. Because if you don't, the market is going to feel some type of way about it, and it might sit. People are going to offer you below your list price, especially if it's been sitting for so long. So this is just everything that comes with it. And let's see here. We'll let's see, I gotta move this over. There we go. Boom. All right, so now you can see it. All right, listed at 29, sold at 14, 449 days on the market. It went pending almost a year and some change afterwards. It's like a year and 2 months and some change. And then it took another 3 months and some change to finally close. So this thing had been on the market for a while, and then it took a while to sell because, I mean, the price tag is measurable for some, for others, not so much. But this is a very unique property, and I always tell my sellers, it's if you're thinking about selling, it should be as appealing as possible to as many people as possible. That way it's not a short pool of buyers that want to or are able to buy your property. Whether or not they're able is usually something that, you know, you can't control. The market will control it. But what you can control is how it presents. If you don't care about selling, then do whatever you want. If you do care about selling, then it's really good to make it as appealing as possible to as many people as possible. And this is a very unique situation. And I think that in part with its price, maybe some condition, which I have no idea, but there's probably a myriad of reasons why it took so long to sell. But biggest things I think are probably price. I think it was overpriced, and don't take my word for it. We're going to jump into some comparables, which we already saw a few, but we're going to jump into some comparables. And ultimately, it sold at half price, which now is a really good time to say, if you're a buyer looking to buy something, these list prices, these are arbitrary numbers more often than not. And market value is determined by what somebody is willing to pay for a thing, right? So market value on this was 14. If you look down here, it says that there was only one offer, and you can't see that, so you're just gonna have to take my word on it. It says that there was only one offer. And also, let's go to the roof. Can we see the roof? Roof tile, thank the Lord. Yeah, it's a tile roof. Can you see that? You can't see that right here. Right here, boom, tile. And they paid cash for it. One offer, they paid cash for it. These people had been trying to sell it for, you know, almost 450 days and probably just wanted to get what they could get out of it, which, you know, I mean, this thing could have sat for a while, but, you know, time value of money, how long are you going to wait to sell it at a number that people have shown you they're not willing to pay for it? Yeah, so that's this. The whole point of this video was basically to just let you know, if you have a price in mind for something, a price that makes sense for you, don't hesitate to make that offer. There's really only a few things that could happen. The sellers could not respond. They could tell you to go screw yourself, right? That's a response. They could counter, or they could accept, or it could be a combination of those things. There's really only a handful of things that can happen with your offer. And me, as an agent, I don't particularly care being told to go screw myself. I don't care about a not response because we can also just submit another offer. Obviously, a big win for me representing you as a buyer is us getting our way immediately, and that's them accepting our offer without much pushback. That's great. But, you know, if there's a counter, we at least know that they're willing to talk with us. So any of those responses for me are a step in the right direction because there's usually follow-up steps that are required. So, you know, I don't particularly care. I serve you. I want you to get what you want. And sometimes there's speed bumps, right? Sometimes there's roadblocks, but, you know, we got jackhammers for that. And that's me. I am Matt Hammer. But yeah, no, this one was super interesting, not just because of the architecture on it, the attention to detail that the architect and the builders had when building it, the people that envisioned this thing. The price was actually super interesting to me. Actually, the price is the whole reason for this. It being listed at 29 mil and then seeing it sell at 14 mil means a lot. So again, taking this into consideration, if you have something in mind, some numbers work for you, and you just think that you're a little ways off between the list price and what your number is, this is all hinged on the market, right? In an extremely competitive market, a lot of times you won't even get a chance to counter, right? They're just going to go with the highest and best offer. So if it's something that you have to have, something that emotionally moves you and you don't want to miss out, then you gotta play the game, right? Number one, look at the comps, see what the market has already said they're willing to pay for something similar in that area. Two, I'm having conversations with the listing agents like, yo, what is it going to take? My people really want this spot. But if it's not such a competitive market, a lot of times we have time on our side and sellers are willing to negotiate. Again, this is heavily dependent on the market. So in 2021, when this thing was listed, it was actually a really competitive market. And I have right here the interest rates, boom. And I'm kind of in the way, so let's move me over a little bit. No, not that. Let's move this over so you can see this right here. Boom. In 2021, September of 2021, interest rates were roughly 3%, right? So that's not a reason that people can use to say, oh, this has been sitting for so long because of interest rates. Nah, this was pretty close to the historical lows, right? So, now interest rates have gone up. We're nearing 7%, but if you look at this entire graph, 7% is pretty average. So, there's that. And you know what? Since we're here, let's just, we're going to do a thing. Let's go back. Let's just do something on Ross. And we'll go to, let's do sold. Let's do Ross. And what, you want to go back to 2020? Let's go back to 2020. February 2020. 130 properties have sold since then. All right, Ross. Now let's look for the highest price one. Do you think this one that sold is the highest price one in Ross? I hope not, because hopefully they priced it at 29 mil because there was another comp. All right, days on market. No days on market. Love those. All right, sold price. Yeah, that's what they were going for. This one on Shady Lane. Let's see what this one looks like. It had less square footage. Oh, interesting. Very interesting. Oh, you can't see it. So here, let me move this over. All right, boom. This one, it was listed at 24. It ended up selling at 28 in 15 days. And they paid cash for it. All right. So, let's look. Let's move you over. This is remarkable. Yeah, in 2 weeks, this thing sold for 28 mil in cash. I love that. Look at this. The real question is, how many offers does this one have on it? We'll go back. It sold 4 mil, 3 mil and some change over the list price in 2 weeks. I would say that it's the style. I think if the style of that other home was a little bit different, it would have sold for more. But it being Japanese, not everybody wants to live in a Japanese Zen garden inspired home. But this one seems to be pretty modern. It was built in 1902, though. Yeah, look at this. This spot is tight. 28 mil. Yeah, this is fire. And it's smaller. And the lot is smaller, too. So they didn't even have, this one sold, it was listed in November, sold 2 weeks later. This wasn't even on the market yet. They didn't even have this one to pull from. This one's tight. So let's go back. This is tight. Okay, let's go back. So aside from this one sold in 0 days. No pictures. This one was sold off market. It sold at 20 mil. It was listed at 17.5, but it was sold when this was posted. That's interesting. Why'd you even do that? Oh, wait, I didn't want to see how many offers were on this one. 2 offers. There you have it. I mean, there's a good amount of them that were sold above 14, and really a handful with smaller lots, smaller homes. I get it. Oh, okay. That's fine. Let's check this one out. No pictures. Tracy's crushing it. Good job, Tracy. Yeah, I get it. That's the other thing that can complicate things is sellers' expectations, right? It's I do my best to have all of my opinions rooted in data. Some of them are feelings, but I like to keep my feelings out of things and just lean heavily on data. That way it's not, hey, I think this. I think, no, this is what the data is showing and this is my interpretation of it. So sometimes sellers' expectations can cause delays. Sometimes people's expectations in things can cause delays. So if the seller was like, I have to have 29 mil, and the agent said, hey, comps show 18, right? It puts everybody in a tough spot. So that's one thing that can delay the date of close or sale or even getting offers, right? Some people may feel, oh, this is way out of my price range. I don't want to offer anything. The person that offered 14, if it was listed at 18, maybe early on there might have been more competition and we're willing to pay a little bit more. But it being so far out of some people's price that they were willing to pay, probably scared some people off. So it's tough. It's tough, especially since, there was other comps too. So I get it. Right, here we go. Boom. Robert. Oh, that's cool. The Robert Pomeroys. Public will have a chance for a last look at the home of the late Mr. and Mrs. Livermore. Okay, there we go. That's who this guy was. Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the San Domenico School. All right, let's see here. Okay. Oldest independent private co-ed day and boarding school in California, and the closest co-ed boarding school to San Francisco, California. School currently enrolls 680 boys and girls in grades kindergarten through 12th grade. Wow. Boarding program, virtuoso program, boarding school. Over 90% of the class of 2020 were accepted into one of their top choice colleges. Tuition. Good Lord. There you have it. He's getting paid a pretty penny then. Established in 1850. 175 years ago. Teaching staff, 68 K through 12. 9 students, almost 10 students per teacher ratio. 500 acres. March Churchill. $46,000 K through 5th. $50,000 6th through 8th. $65,000 9 through 12th. Well, that's why they're going to any of their schools. Their parents are cashing out. So it said he was the chairman. Head of school, Paul Sanders. Jeez. Okay, well, there's that. Oh, I made the Wall Street Journal. What? That's 43 mil. That's not right. I mean, maybe this is a different property. Same family who helped construct the famous bridge. So they've been had money. Wealthy suburb north of San Francisco, sprawling estate with ties to two of the city's best known landmarks. And they did say that. It's listing for 43 mil. Was it listed before? I didn't see that. Let's go back. Let's just look at the address. I meant to do this earlier too. How many listings was it? There you have it. Jeez. Wow. Oh, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh. That's why. That's why it took so long. They priced this thing at 43 mil. In 2020. They tried to... Oh, wait. Hold on. Let's go back. Let's go back. Hold on. Did they... No, let's go to listing 40. Oh, interesting. Oh, the plot thickens. All right. So, when they first listed this thing, it had 853,000 square feet on the lot. 43, 5, how many? I can't do math that fast. 43, 560 is an acre times 10. 43, 86. This is a little under 20 acres. That's a little under 20 acres. So they sold it. When they finally sold it for 14, they may have subdivided it, and now it has closer to 10. 13. That's my guess. 14. All right. 14 plus acre. Wow. Interesting. Y'all got creative. Okay, I'll give you all that. But y'all were asking 43 mil. Y'all were asking 43 mil, and it ended up selling for 14. And what else did you change? What else changed? +20 acres. Designed by, here we go. All right, designed by Nagao Sakuri. Let's find out who that is. Wow. Jeez. All right, let's see who this architect is. This architect, now y'all got to be a boss. Oh, there you have it. I'm about to follow Nagao on social medias. The first landscape architect to graduate from the Imperial University of Japan. He's a landscape architect. Okay. Well, who's the architect? Japanese architecture. Most private properties in Marin County. Countless moments, interruptions, controlled outlooks. Multi-wing. And then you can see that. Cool. Sale includes 3 parcels, totaling 19.6. Buyer to verify square footage. Wow. Okay. So what they did change is the acreage. So they took about 5. And we don't know who designed. Adjacent lot is also 2.82 acres. They were living in this while they were trying to sell it. Minimum 24-hour notice for showings. Oh, it says it was vacant. Interesting. Wow. All right. Well, that's why. And now the title has just changed from 29 mil to 43. That's how. I think it was overpriced. But I understand how. Good Lord. And I still have no idea who this Bob character is. Robert Pomeroy. I mean, other than being a chairman on... Okay. Is this his mom? Hellman Ross. This is it. This is her mom. Or his mom. Their mom. Yep. Returning to Honolulu, where he worked at Pearl Harbor for J.H. Pomeroy & Co., a business that he owned. Oh, here we go. Prime contractor for Pacific Naval Air Bases. First date at Trader Vic's in Honolulu. Interesting. Engaged. Married. Lived in Sausalito, then San Francisco, before building a first home in Ross in 1948. Oh no. Oh man. Bob passed away in 1991 after a 3-year illness. Loving mother to Stephen, Mark, Kathleen, and Leslie. And those are the twin sisters. Jeez. Yeah, her life was rich and long. Possessed a bright mind, keen wit. That's sad. I don't like it when people die. Just imagine their love story ending. She had a nice long life, almost lived to be 100 years old. That's a feat. So, there you have it. That answers that question. He was a contractor for the military. She set sail for Hawaiian holiday, Friday the 13th. In the 40s. In Hawaii. But Pearl Harbor. Oh, geez. He worked at Pearl Harbor in the 40s. Yeah, okay. Well, there you have it. That makes sense. I'm like, yo, who is this person that had so much money? Japan, okay, that's probably... There's still a little disconnect. So he worked in Hawaii on Pearl Harbor. That's very interesting, actually, now that we think about it, because Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, allegedly. And he designed his home after, I mean, this is going to sound crazy, but he designed his home after inspired by the people that may have strongly influenced his ability to get paid. Because if the Japanese didn't bomb Pearl Harbor, would he have had as many contracts as he had? And mind you, I have no idea of the contracts that he had. I'm just trying to put this together. Yeah, wow. Well, what we do know is that he was a prime contractor for the naval air bases at Pearl Harbor. That's for certain. This says that they met in 1941 in Hawaii. So, in the 40s. Yeah. Well, I guess do with that what you will. Yeah. Wow. That's wild. And then it said that he was the chairman of the board of trustees of San Domenico School. Very interesting. Well, the plot just thickened. That's crazy. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for me. Just spent 20 years, I mean, not 20 years, 20 minutes researching who this guy was. I couldn't let it go. I'm like, yo, who is this guy? And they both passed, and that's sad. Mark, if you can hear me, I'm sorry for your loss, bro. Thankfully I have both of my parents, and I cannot imagine not. So my condolences, my absolute condolences. And hopefully you're okay with the sale of said property. I mean, you had to sign off on it, so. But yeah, congratulations, man, and I wish you the best moving forward. And yeah, if somehow you see this and I am incorrect on anything, I am happy to retract any statements that are not factual. So there's that. But yeah, yep, love and light, peace, happiness, all that. But yeah, all right. Well, that's gonna do it for real. So, if you have any questions on anything I've said or haven't said, do not hesitate to give me a call, shoot me a message. My name is Matthew Sewell. I am your real estate plug, and apparently I'm an investigator. Yep. Being a realtor is a lot like being a private investigator. So I went about it in a roundabout way, but we got to it. I figured it out. But yeah, that's going to do it for us. All right. Peace.